Once upon a time, I accepted a job offer. I was living in New York at the time, and part of it included having to travel cross country to learn from the people that worked at a company that had just been bought by this company how to do their job. And here's how that didn't work. Moose, welcome to Moose's Corner. The year was 2017, and at the time I was working at a pharmaceutical company, and I had done well enough for myself that they promoted me from doing inspections to working in the office. And the office was filled with a bunch of people who would rather argue and bicker amongst themselves all day long than actually just do the simple work that we had to do, as happens apparently in offices. I was also getting paid way less than I should have been for the work I was doing, and I was so good at doing all of that work that when they ran into an issue with keeping their warehouse inventory in line, I was responsible for updating the warehouse inventory for them every day for no extra compensation, of course. So I took a job with another company. I had family and friends telling me to go, better opportunity, much better pay, don't have to deal with the office pettiness anymore. All right, go ahead, sure. On the interview, the boss asked me questions about would I be willing to do this, would I be willing to do that, basically asking, would I be willing to spend months at a time traveling cross country to learn how the process goes for building this new product line from this company that we had just bought, they had just bought, so we can move manufacturing here, which I thought was kind of messed up, but at the same time, I'm just trying to get paid. And I said, yeah, sure, but you'd have to pay for everything. I'm not putting myself up in a hotel for months at a time across the country. Like, that's all on you. Like, oh, absolutely. And I would obviously be getting some kind of travel pay. Absolutely. So I get hired. And very early on, I realized there was going to be issues with my now wife, then girlfriend, and I being able to spend our anniversary together. So I'm kind of a little eager once I start to find out what's going on. When am I leaving? What are my hotel arrangements? What are my flight arrangements? I'm going to spare a lot of the fat of this story, as I should spare myself sometimes, but what really wound up happening was I never left. They pushed it back month after month after month. I wound up buying and then losing airfare tickets for my wife to come visit me. And the department eventually did take off, but I wound up in another department that was way more crucial to the company's success anyway. Way more crucial. Got way more exposure because of that. And I got myself to a point where it kind of didn't matter one way or the other. Because the company kind of imploded on itself. It still exists. It's not going anywhere corporately. I don't even think that location's going anywhere, but that department is so undesirable that the former general manager of the entire facility has been demoted to manager of that department. I'm not sure if that's the official title, but that's what it is. He's lost all control over everything else. He's just under that. And I didn't have to deal with him with that. I had to deal with him with a lot of other stuff. There's a lot more to this story. But there's a bit of a moral here, I think. I'd like to think. Otherwise, I'm just drinking, talking to myself in my living room. When you make an agreement, you are to honor your part of the agreement, and the other party is to honor their part of the agreement. I was lied to several times. Accommodations went from our own hotel room to sharing a Airbnb. Went from having our own rental cars to having to share one rental car between 4 people. Having everything prepaid to having to pay everything out of pocket and then get reimbursed by the company, which you just never do. That is the worst way to do anything, because the company has no incentive to pay you back. And I eventually told them I wasn't going to do it anymore, and I wound up in a way more critical role with the company anyway. But stand firm to the things that you agreed to, whether it's the positive side or the negative side. You know, if you're going to get more benefit out of it, or if you're just sticking to what you said you would do. I'm not saying the name of this company because several reasons, but I would never tell someone I knew that I think that they should work for them ever again. And this is just reason one out of a list of enough to give me an aneurysm if I try to think about it, of why you wouldn't want to work for that company. But that's going to stick with me for the rest of my life. The way they treated their employees is going to stick with me for the rest of my life. And it all started with not keeping their word. And I kept my word until they backed out enough times that I was free to leave myself with a free conscience. Anyway, this is Moose's Corner. I don't care if you liked or didn't like the story. You can say something about it. You cannot.